I dined on a Tuesday, I remember, because I was supposed to meet my brother for lunch the next day. Death wasn't what I expected. There was no light, no tunnel, no deceased relatives waiting to greet me. Just darkness, then nothing, then awareness. I could see my body lying there on the pavement, blood pooling beneath my head where it had struck the curb. People were gathering, someone was calling an ambulance. But I knew it was too late. I was already gone.
Hey, can you hear me? Sir? Don't move, help is coming.
I wanted to tell him not to bother, that I was beyond help now, but I had no mouth to speak with. I was just there, watching. As the paramedics arrived and pronounced me dead at the scene, I felt a strange tugging sensation. Something was pulling at me, not physically, since I no longer had a physical form, but pulling at whatever I had become. I resisted at first, clinging to the scene of my death like it was an anchor, but the pull grew stronger, and suddenly I was moving, rushing through streets and buildings faster than I ever could have in life. I came to a stop in a small apartment I didn't recognize. A young woman sat on a couch, scrolling through her phone, completely unaware of my presence. The tugging sensation had stopped. I was just here, with her. But why?
God, I'm so bored. Nothing good on TV, nothing happening online, just another wasted night.
I tried to communicate, to make some kind of noise or movement that might alert her to my presence, but nothing happened. I had no impact on the physical world. I was just a witness, a spectator to this stranger's life. Days passed like this. I watched her go about her routine. Wake up, go to work at some office downtown, come home, eat dinner alone, sleep, repeat. Her name was, well, I shouldn't use her real name. Let's just call her Female 1. I learned everything about her, her habits, her preferences, the way she talked to herself when she thought no one was listening.
Another day, another dollar. At least I can afford the rent this month.
A week after my death, something changed. I felt a strange sensation, like I was becoming more solid somehow. And then, to my shock, Female 1 looked directly at me one morning as she was getting ready for work.
Hello? Is someone there?
She had sensed me, not seen me exactly, but felt my presence. I concentrated hard, trying to communicate.
This is weird. I feel like I'm being watched.
She shook her head and went back to applying her makeup, but throughout the day she kept glancing over her shoulder, looking around corners, checking behind doors. She knew something was different in her apartment. She knew I was there. That night, I discovered something incredible. If I concentrated hard enough, I could move small objects. Just slightly. A pencil rolling a few inches across a desk. A cabinet door swinging open when it had been closed. I practiced while Female 1 slept, getting stronger with each attempt. By the second week, I could do more. I could turn lights on and off. I could change the channel on her TV. And I could whisper, not with a physical voice, but somehow my thoughts could manifest as sound if I focused hard enough. The first time I spoke to her, she nearly jumped out of her skin.
Who's there? Hello?
I had simply whispered hello while she was washing dishes. She dropped a plate, shattering it on the kitchen floor.
This isn't funny. If someone's in here, show yourself.
I tried again, concentrating harder.
I'm here, I won't hurt you.
What the hell? Where are you? Show yourself.
I couldn't show myself, of course. I had no form, no body, just consciousness and growing ability to affect the world around me.
I can't show myself, I'm not alive anymore.
Is this some kind of sick joke? Are there cameras in here?
She began searching the apartment, looking for hidden cameras or speakers, convinced she was being pranked. Finding nothing, she called her friend.
Hey, I need you to come over. Something really weird is happening. No, I'm not drunk. Just please come over.
Her friend arrived 30 minutes later. I stayed quiet while they were together.
I swear, there was a voice, a man's voice, coming from nowhere.
Have you been sleeping okay? You look exhausted.
I'm fine. I'm not imagining things. It spoke to me.
Look, after what happened with your last breakup, it's normal to be a little on edge. Maybe you should talk to someone.
I'm not crazy.
But her friend clearly thought she was. After she left, female one sat on the couch, head in her hands.
I'm not crazy. I heard something.
I felt bad for her. I hadn't meant to frighten her or make her question her sanity. I decided to try again, more gently this time.
You're not crazy. I'm really here.
Oh God, there it is again. Who are you? What do you want?
I don't know why I'm here. I died 2 weeks ago. Somehow I ended up with you.
This isn't happening. This isn't real.
It is real. I'm sorry. I don't mean to scare you.
She was trembling now, eyes darting around the room, trying to locate the source of my voice.
Prove it. Prove you're whatever you say you are.
I concentrated and turned off the lamp beside her, then turned it back on, then moved her phone from the coffee table to the couch beside her.
Oh my God.
She didn't sleep that night. She sat up, lights on, occasionally asking me questions that I would answer by moving objects or whispering. By morning, she seemed to have accepted my presence, though she was still clearly unnerved.
So you just showed up here after you died? Why me? We never met when you were alive, right?
No, I don't know why I'm here. I was pulled here.
This is insane. I'm talking to a ghost.
I don't think I'm a ghost, just a soul without a body.
Days passed, and female one grew more accustomed to my presence. She would talk to me while cooking dinner or getting ready for work. I became a strange sort of companion for her. She even seemed to enjoy having me around after a while.
It's kind of nice, actually, having someone to talk to who just listens, who can't judge me.
But something was changing within me. The more I interacted with the physical world, the more I felt a hunger growing. Not for food. I had no body that needed nourishment. This was different. A hunger for sensation, for feeling, for life. I found that when female one slept, I could get closer to her somehow. Not physically, but on some other plane. I could feel her dreams, her emotions, her life force, and it was intoxicating. The first time it happened, I didn't mean for it to. I was just watching her sleep, as I often did. When I felt myself drawn toward her, into her somehow, I could feel her heartbeat, her breathing, the blood rushing through her veins. It was the closest I had felt to being alive since my death. And when I pulled away, she looked paler in the morning, tired, like something had drained her.
I slept terribly last night, had the worst nightmares.
I felt guilty, but the hunger was growing stronger. Each night I would draw closer to her sleeping form, absorbing more of her energy, her essence, and each morning she would wake looking more exhausted, more drained.
I think I need to see a doctor. I'm always so tired lately.
Maybe you're coming down with something.
I knew I was the cause, but I couldn't stop myself. The hunger was overwhelming now. Being near her, feeling her life force was the only thing that eased the emptiness inside me. After 3 weeks of this, female one was a shadow of herself. Dark circles under her eyes, moving slowly, calling in sick to work more often than not. Her friend came by again, clearly concerned.
You look awful. Have you been to a doctor yet?
They can't find anything wrong, just say I'm stressed or not sleeping well.
Maybe you should stay at my place for a few days. Get away from here.
The thought of her leaving filled me with panic. I needed her here, needed her energy.
Maybe you're right. I'll pack a bag.
That night, as she slept before her planned departure the next morning, I couldn't control myself. The hunger was too great. I drew closer to her than ever before, not just feeling her life force, but merging with it somehow. I could feel her heart as if it were my own, feel her lungs expanding and contracting. For a moment, I felt alive again. And then I felt something new. A giving way, like a barrier breaking down. Suddenly, I wasn't just near her or around her. I was in her, inside her body, feeling everything she felt, seeing through her eyes when they fluttered open in panic.
What's happening? I can't move.
But it wasn't her voice that spoke, it was her mouth, her vocal cords. But the voice was mine.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I tried to pull back, to extract myself from her body, but I couldn't. We were merged now, her consciousness and mine fighting for control of a single form.
Get out of me.
Her voice was weaker now, just a thought in her shared mind rather than words spoken aloud. I could feel her fighting, pushing against me, but I was stronger. The hunger had made me stronger.
I didn't mean for this to happen.
But even as I said it, I knew part of me had wanted exactly this. To feel alive again, to have a body again. Her body. In the morning we got up. I was in control now, though I could still feel her consciousness, trapped and screaming somewhere deep inside. I looked in the mirror, at her face that was now somehow also mine.
I'm sorry, but I need this more than you do.
Her friend called, asking if she was ready to be picked up. I answered the phone with her voice, telling her friend that she was feeling better and had decided to stay home after all. Days passed. I learned to use her body, to mimic her mannerisms and speech patterns well enough that no one noticed anything amiss. I went to her job, spoke to her friends, lived her life, all while she remained trapped inside. Her voice growing fainter each day. A month after taking over her body, I barely heard her at all anymore. Just occasional whispers of protest that were easy to ignore. I had what I wanted. I was alive again. Until the night I woke to find myself standing in front of the bathroom mirror, a razor blade in my hand that I hadn't picked up. For a moment, her consciousness had surged forward, taking control.
Let me go, or I'll end us both.
I fought back, regaining control of the hand holding the blade, pulling it away from where she had been pressing it against our wrist.
Don't be stupid, you'll kill us both.
Better than this. Better than being a prisoner in my own body.
Her voice was stronger than it had been in weeks. She was fighting back with everything she had left. Over the next few days, I found myself losing control at random moments. She would take over, just for seconds at first, then for minutes. Long enough to tell her friend something was wrong. Long enough to write, "Help me," on a notepad before I could stop her. I knew I was losing my grip on her body. Her will to live, to reclaim what was hers, was proving stronger than my hunger to possess it. One night, I felt a familiar tugging sensation. The same pull that had brought me to her in the first place was now trying to tear me away. I fought against it, clinging desperately to the body I had stolen. But the pull was relentless. With a sensation like being ripped in half, I was suddenly outside again, formless, watching as female one collapsed to the floor, gasping and sobbing.
Get out, stay out.
She could still sense me, still feel my presence, but I was no longer inside her, no longer in control. Whatever force had brought me to her had apparently decided our time together was over. The tugging continued, pulling me away from her apartment through the city once more. I didn't fight it this time. I let it carry me to wherever I was meant to go next. I found myself in the hospital room. A man lay unconscious in the bed. Machines beeping steadily around him. A doctor was speaking to a woman who stood by the bedside.
The coma has been stable for weeks now, but I have to be honest. The longer he remains unconscious, the less likely it is he'll ever wake up.
But you're not giving up, right? There's still hope?
We never give up hope, but you might want to consider what he would want in this situation.
The woman, his wife I assumed, wiped tears from her eyes and nodded.
Just a little longer. Please.
As the doctor left, I felt the tugging sensation again, drawing me toward the comatose man, and I understood. This was why I had been pulled from female one. This empty vessel needed a soul, and I was just a soul without a body. I moved closer, feeling the familiar hunger rising within me. This time there would be no resistance, no consciousness to fight against. Just an empty body waiting to be filled. As I merged with the comatose man, feeling his heart become my heart, his lungs my lungs, I heard the machines around me beeping faster. The woman gasped.
Doctor, something's happening.
I opened my eyes, my new eyes, and saw her tear-stained face looking down at me with hope and joy. She didn't know, couldn't know that her husband was gone, that I had taken his place.
Hello.
Oh my God. You're awake. You're back.
She threw her arms around me, sobbing with relief. Over her shoulder, I saw the doctor rush in, amazement on his face.
This is remarkable. A full recovery from a coma like this is extremely rare.
As the woman, my new wife, held me, and the doctor checked my vitals, I felt a moment of guilt for what I had done to female one, for what I was now doing to this woman who thought her husband had returned to her. But the guilt passed quickly. After all, I was just a soul, and souls need somewhere to live. As I squeezed the woman's hand and smiled at her with her husband's face, I wondered how long it would be before the hunger returned, before I needed to move on again. Because that's the thing about souls like mine. We're never satisfied. We always want more, and there are so many empty vessels just waiting to be filled.